All right, welcome to lesson 5 of module 3. This lesson is called the Shen. The Shen is another all-encompassing term of Eastern medicine that kind of means the spirit, the mind, and the soul. So this is a very important part of fertility, is to heal the Shen. The Shen is said to reside in the heart. It is responsible for consciousness, thinking, affections, long-term memory, and sleep. The Shen indicates the complex of mental faculties which are said to reside in the heart. The Shen corresponds to the mind, not the brain, but the mind, and is specifically related to the heart. Shen is used to indicate the whole sphere of mental and spiritual aspects of a human being, and Shen is associated with the congenital spiritual energy that descends from heaven. It is the universal divine spirit that is implanted in each person, uniting man and woman to the spiritual realm. So another way to think about it is the higher self, the soul. It resides in the heart, as we've said. The heart is in control of the mind. The heart is the residence on the original mind. The heart controls all mental activities of the mind and is responsible for insight and cognition. The heart is the emperor of the other internal organs. So this is a quote here from one of a very popular Eastern medicine textbook. And when we're talking about the heart as the emperor of the other internal organs, we're really talking about the energetic heart. It can be thought of as the heart chakra in, the yogic tradition. And really, what this is saying, that it doesn't matter what is done on the physical, if there is a pathology on the emotional side, on the spiritual side, that is more... that comes before physical disease, basically. So any fertility protocol that is not including the emotions and the mind and the spirit, in our view, is incomplete. So this is another part of infertility that completely gets overlooked in Western medicine. They don't really acknowledge the soul. They only acknowledge really what they see. And that's fine, but in Eastern medicine we do acknowledge the soul, we do acknowledge the spirit, and it's a very, very important part. In fact, it's fundamental to life. The spirit, the Shen, is what enlivens the body and gives life to the body. And if your goal is to become pregnant and give birth to a healthy baby, that baby is going to have a spirit and a Shen as well, and that spirit you're literally inviting that spirit to start growing into a body in your body. So we really find that it's very useful to think spiritually and to acknowledge the Shen, and do things to harmonize the Shen. So as an Eastern medicine practitioner, when we assess the Shen, one of the first places we observe is in the eyes. So a person's Shen is expressed through their eyes. If the eyes are bright, clear, and focused, sort of like these images below, that is indicative of a strong, healthy Shen. And if the eyes are dull, lifeless, avoidant, unfocused, that is indicative of a weak Shen. And you can see those examples there. We got Marilyn Monroe at the bottom there, who we know was tragically in a pretty bad situation in Hollywood, and I think was forced to use drugs and things of that nature. And you can just see that dull, lifeless Shen in her eyes, and how different that is from these individuals in their eyes. You can see basically the light of their spirit is very present in the eyes, and the light has kind of wandered away in these persons' eyes. So the blood quality effect on Shen. So the heart's function of housing the mind or the spirit depends on an adequate nourishment from the blood. This is blood with a capital B, the way we think about blood in Eastern medicine. The heart's job of governing blood depends on the mind. So if you're having some sort of Shen disturbance, emotional disturbance, it can have a downstream effect of affecting the blood, and we know how important the blood is for the uterus and the reproductive system. There is a relation of mutual dependence between the function of governing blood and that of housing the mind. So we have this concept of heart blood in Eastern medicine. Heart blood roots the mind. It embraces it and anchors it into the body so that the mind will be peaceful and happy. So another pathology we can look for in Eastern medicine is if there's deficient blood, specifically deficient heart blood. We call it heart blood deficiency. And this will result in symptoms such as mental restlessness, depression, anxiety, insomnia. And conversely, mental restlessness, emotional problems, and sadness can induce a deficiency of blood of the heart, causing palpitations. So sometimes we don't know which came first, the symptom or the deficiency, because they both will have a negative effect on each other. Another pattern is heart shock. So we have heart blood deficiency, which is a Shen pattern of disharmony, and another one is called heart shock, and this refers to a sudden emotional trauma or fright that disturbs the Shen. So this could even be something really, what looks really minor to an adult, but it could be really major to a child. If a child is watching a scary movie or something and there's a jump scare and it just really triggers them really bad and they're having nightmares for a while, that heart shock can have a negative physiological consequence that can stay with them for decades, actually, if it's not healed properly. So the heart can stay in this state or store that trauma in the nervous system. The brain does this in order to try and protect the person from it happening again. When anything of a similar energy signature comes up, like the same vibration of that original trauma or shock, the same physiological response can happen, even if it is not related or on a small scale. For instance, maybe you had a heart shock where you were working on a roof, for example, and you slipped and you fell off the roof. Now, because of that, you have a fear of heights, and maybe just watching somebody else go on a roof or work on a roof could cause that same physiological response in your nervous system. That's just one example of that. So hitting the brakes quickly in a car, a movie, a jump scare, sudden work pressure, somebody just out of nowhere telling you you're fired, like something like that. All of these things can cause heart shock, and because of the cyclical nature of how things work, being around that season when the event happened can also cause a similar physiological experience. Like if you had a loved one that passed away in August, and every August you start to kind of feel that sadness again, is one example of this. Another pathology is the unanchored Shen. This is when the spirit isn't integrating in the physical body completely. This leads to a restless mind, an excess emotional imbalance, and disconnect. Signs or symptoms of this is excess cynicism or sarcasm. This is actually really prominent in the entertainment industry right now. It seems like many TV shows and comedy and things right now are extremely cynical and sarcastic, and yeah, it can be funny, but it's actually really not the best view to have of the world. and your life, it can lead to an unanchored Shen. Habitual excess exposure to negative things or mentally harsh things, disconnect from nature. This can all lead to hormone imbalance, not processing traumas, or spending time with parts of your inner self that needs your love and attention. So these are all symptoms of an unanchored Shen. And a little more severe aspect of this pattern is called Shen disturbance, and this is like a long-term unanchored spirit and disconnection to spirit. So all mental disorders can be considered a Shen disturbance to one degree or another, mild to severe. Unsoothable emotional problems, severe unresolved trauma leading to excessive outbursts, outgoing emotional stress or unhealthy relationships, yelling, being able to see the three whites of the eyes, meaning like usually at the bottom you can see white under the pupil. That can be a sign of Shen disturbance, disassociation or psychosis, and mania. And you can kind of see the three whites of the eyes on that younger person there on the right. And all of these are examples of eyes of a person that has a Shen disturbance. If the heart is strong, the mind will also be strong and the person will be happy. If the spirit is fully housed in the body, it will be the bridge from heaven to earth. Strong awareness of the spirit in the heart will strengthen its guiding light. When we're talking about the Shen, when we're talking about the spirit and the soul and the emotional body, what makes it different in Eastern medicine is the connection to the heart. So we really want to start to connect to our heart on a daily basis. It's a really good idea to just have some sort of self-cultivation practice every day, which we'll talk more about that in the modules to come. But just taking a moment every day to just kind of tune into your heart, put your awareness into your heart, and just take deep breaths into the heart. Just this alone will have you start living from your heart and living from your soul and from your spirit, anchoring the spirit more into the body, and cultivating just feelings of gratitude and appreciation while you're focusing on your heart is one of the most simplest but profound practices that you can do to nurture your heart, to nurture your Shen on a daily basis. So why is this so important for fertility? Because of the effect on the nervous system's communication to hormone communication pathways. It has a huge effect. The spiritual readiness to receive life and be a guide for that person, for the human being you're seeking to create into this world. It's important to become a mother now to yourself first. Many of us have parts of ourselves that are unhealed inner child. A lot of times we're seeking a child just to cover up traumas or to fill a void in our life. You'll become much more receptive to be a mother if you heal those parts of yourselves first, to be a mother to yourself first, and to have an intention to create life out of a fullness of love in yourself instead of out of a lack, if that makes sense. So we want to heal the inner fragments we've created to deal with hard times. Yes, so these are healing the inner childs, the wounded parts of us, the shadow selves of us. These parts are still dealing with these issues and believe it is still happening on a subconscious level. So this is what we call the shadow. These parts of us are unaware that there is no longer an active threat. So these are like programs that are running in the background. If we've never dealt with them and brought them into the light of our consciousness so that they can be healed. So that's what healing the Shen is about. So the more we console these parts of us and show mercy, understanding, and love to them, and just acknowledging them, the wiser parents we will be. So this really not only prepares us physiologically to improve our fertility, but it's really preparing us to become better parents, more grounded parents. Techniques for creating a healthy Shen. So spiritual practice, I just kind of mentioned that earlier, just connecting to your heart and gratitude and appreciation, meditation, prayer, affirmation, reading inspirational material. All of this helps create a healthy Shen. There are also herbs and supplements that will nourish the heart and calm the nervous system. Therapy can be very helpful. We're big fans of IFS and EMDR. Acupressure. We'll go over certain acupressure points you can do to benefit your heart and your Shen. Earthing, grounding. It's very, very grounding for the Shen. Exercise can be very stimulating for the Shen in a good way. And social media detox is a great technique for creating a healthy Shen. Oftentimes on social media we get trapped into comparing ourselves to others, and a lot of times it can just have a toxic effect on our Shen, on our spirit. It's good to take breaks from social media for a while, or to just create a different account where you only follow like spiritual teachers that you really resonate with, or accounts that put out uplifting content, so that becomes more of your community, rather than just the community you grew up with, and seeing people post their best days, and it's not really a true picture of reality, and you get caught into this comparison trap. So yeah, and there's another good quote there. Joy makes the mind peaceful and relaxed. It benefits the nutritive and defensive chi. It makes chi relax and slow down. Fear counteracts joy and causes chi to descend downward. So that quote is really just embodying the connection of a healthy Shen and how it affects your chi. So we've talked about how it can negatively affect the blood if you have an unhealthy Shen, but it will also negatively affect the chi as well if you're experiencing these unhealthy emotions often. Now, it's normal to experience fear sometimes, and these more negative emotions at times, but we want to have an appropriate response to them. We want to allow ourselves to feel them, but then let them go, and learn to abide in this abiding joy that resides within the heart. So again, the easiest, most quick and efficient way to do that is just to place your attention on your heart, your awareness on your heart in the center of your chest, and just cultivating gratitude and appreciation, thinking of things in your life that you appreciate, moments in your life that you're proud of, your pets, your loved ones. Just doing that on a regular basis, as simple and as cliche as it sounds, it's one of the most powerful ways to cultivate a healthy Shen when it's done consistently on a daily basis. And I just pretty much just went over this. Again, the quickest fix and cheat code to nourish the Shen is gratitude. It is not possible for the brain to feel fear and gratitude at the same time. So just think about that for a second. If you're in fear a lot, if you're in worry, if you can just shift your nervous system into a space of gratitude, that fear literally cannot exist at the same time. So it's a lot of times a lot easier to go into gratitude than to try to fight the fear or explain away the fear or rationalize away the fear. And sometimes it's hard to get into gratitude too if you're in a low place, and if that's the case, it's really good to move the body, get into the body first. Go for a walk, go for a run, get some endorphins going, change your state, and then from that, then you can shift into gratitude easier. So it's helpful to queue up people, things, and memories that you love, your pets, your partner, pizza from that place that you love, sun at the beach, whatever you're grateful for. Just be super simple, and you can rotate through thoughts for as little or as long as you want. This gets your head above water and helps shift the body to a more harmonious state. Just the concept of being present, be in your body, be embodied. So if you're trapped in fear, if you're in worry, if you're sad, this really means you're all up in your head. So the body is always present. The body is always in the here and now. So the more you can just shift into your body, the more harmonious you will start to feel, the better you'll start to feel. So doing exercise, doing yoga, things like that, doing qigong, doing acupressure, all these things that bring awareness and attention to your body will actually have a very grounding and stabilizing effect on the Shen. So there you have it. Those are the 5 key principles we wanted to really just give you guys a foundation on to start understanding. You don't have to be experts in them. We just want to start believing in them as real concepts, and thinking about our bodies and our lifestyle within these concepts and these frameworks, because these are 5 things we can optimize that most doctors will never acknowledge or are not even aware of thinking this way. They're more looking through microscopes and zooming in at the body. Now we're zooming out at the body and thinking about these deeper, more all-encompassing concepts. And when we do that, we can actually see that there's much more ways that we can optimize our fertility, a lot of things we can do to optimize our fertility that we haven't been told about. So another way to think about these are known as the 3 treasures in Eastern medicine: Jing, Qi, and Shen. So we've gone over all 3 of those now. So when these 3 treasures are optimized, it's the secret to longevity, to fertility, health, and happiness in life. And you can see that cool image on the left there, how Jing is more associated with matter, Qi is more associated with energy, and Shen is more associated with spirit. So really mind, body, spirit, the Jing, Qi, and Shen. So this is really a complete system of healing the entire person, acknowledging every part of the person, and doing things in our daily life to optimize those 3 treasures.